So I'm Erin Hall. I teach at teach first grade at Bridgewater here in Northfield. This will be my 12th year teaching, and this will be I have to think back and do the math. Well, my daughter's 11, so okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th year at Bridgewater. So I've taught preschool, kindergarten, and first grade. So.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm talking to you today is because you've incorporated flexible seating into your classroom with first graders. One of the fears regarding flexible seating is the classroom management, and a lot of times it's when we're working with the younger students. So you are the perfect person to talk to. So maybe how did you make the leap from traditional seating to flexible seating, and how many years have you been working with that?
Sure. So I started, really slow because of money and funding and whatnot. So every year I would just purchase a few things here and there. And then last year I actually was able to get what was called a SHIP grant. And so that's where most of my furniture came. It's through Rice County. And actually myself and Pam Charlton, she also received a grant too. And so we were able to buy some more additional pieces for our classrooms. So I was able to get some standing tables and some different stools with that grant too. So this is probably my 4th or 5th year using flexible seating in my classroom. I just think as a teacher, there are so many different learning styles, and that goes along with how kiddos sit in chairs, the flexibility of what works and what doesn't work for them, and being able to choose different things that help them learn better.
How do you incorporate flexible seating expectations in the classroom in the beginning of the year?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, we set classroom expectations, just like we do rules and expectations for being a kind friend and sharing and those kinds of things. So at the beginning of the year, I make sure that every student gets a chance to try out all the different seating options that we have in our classroom. So each student will take a turn at them, and we just kind of rotate through. And then we talk about the expectations of our classroom. And so I'm going to share my screen. Just like when we make rules at school, we also, we also go through what our rules in the classroom look like. So this I use as a classroom poster, kind of like when we come up with the expectations of school, and like in our classroom, we come up with, be respectful, be responsible, be safe, and always doing our best. And then we all sign them. We also do flexible seating expectations. So we talk about choosing a working spot that helps you do your best. We talk about using our seats appropriately, picking your spot for the day. And if it doesn't work, you're picking a different spot tomorrow, and taking good care of community supplies. And then I always talk to them about how Mrs. Hall can move anyone at any time. So just making sure that we're making smart seating and sitting correctly, working hard, cleaning up nicely, and following directions. So we use these rules and expectations, and we have them posted in the classroom. And then I've done it a couple different ways as far as students choosing their seats. So one way is I have these little posters hung up on magnetic, they're actually cookie sheets, and students just have a little number right on here. And then they can come in that morning or right before they will go home, and they can choose their spot for that next day or that morning for that day. So they would just put their little number on there. And then that tells and lets the other kiddos know which spots are available and which spots have been taken for that day too. So there's no fighting over who's sitting where. I kind of like using it in the morning because it gets the kiddos out of the hallway and into the classroom right away, because they want to make that choice. But that's how we come up with our expectations.
When, let's say there's a student that works better in a chair that moves, a movement-based chair, and all the movement-based chairs are gone by the time John puts his number up there. What is your typical response to that?
Yeah, so a couple of, with every situation, there's lots of different situations, but um, in the past, I've kind of sometimes needed to say this chair is for this person right now. And we've kind of set up that I usually, like a couple of times have had students that really need individual desk space by themselves with a rocking chair or with a wobbling stool. And all the students just kind of know that that is that particular child's area. And we just talk about how everybody needs something different. So while Johnny might need that space by himself, maybe then this student needs something else. So we just talk about how all of us need different things, and it seems the kiddos respond really well to that.
And then another question I have, what do you wish you would have known when you started flexible seating that you know now? Like if I would have just knew that in the beginning, it would have made it so much easier.
Yeah, that not every, I was reading that question the other night and trying to think of, something, but it made me realize that not every chair is going to work for every kid. And like, how do I, so when at first I was like, oh yeah, everybody is going to be able to do every single chair. And after a couple of years of it, I'm like, that certain ones just don't work for certain kiddos. But instead of telling them, no, you can't sit in that chair, really having a conversation with them about, this might not be the best chair, but and then giving options of maybe this one would work better or this one. So the kiddos still feel like they have the opportunity to make that choice, and I'm not making that choice for them.
That is a good point. Another question I have, I didn't have it written down in the questions I shared with you. When I was doing all my research and studies, and one of the things they said is having more chairs in the classroom or more positions to sit in the classroom than actual students. What would you say your ratio to sitting surfaces? Now, I would include the floor as a sitting surface
Yep.
or a spot. What would you say typically your ratio is?
I have more seating areas, yes, than I have students, for
Okay,
sure. And if I can show you some of, let me share my screen again. I can show you
excellent.
some of the options that are in my classroom. So I just took some of the photos from last year. Here, this was the flexible or the SHIP grant that we got, but here it shows a kiddo in a scoop chair. I have this old desk that they use as it's like slanted, some kiddos like that. But then a couch, lots of low tables where they can sit on the ground, and I have cushions that are plastic, or they can just sit on the ground. Scoop chairs, back here some different kinds of stools. This is my guided reading area, which looks different this year and last year because my students kind of came to the table and they were feeling they wanted to lay on the desk and they're kind of tired and stuff. So I actually just removed all of my chairs and I made it a standing guided reading table. And it's also my desk too. So when they come for a guided reading, they stand there. There's some different, let me see if there's a picture here. Oh, we have some surf chairs. So that's another spot for the floor. Here they are sitting on a couch. And then I have this triangular seating, and they sit on a cushion and then it leans up again. They lean up against it. It's like a wooden box. Up here's an example of them just sitting on the floor. Lots of them and then we have, forget what these ones are called. Oodles,
Yeah,
right?
they're like, yeah.
So they're all plastic too. So I'm really excited that I will be able to use most all of my flexible seating options this year because it's all plastic or able to be cleaned really well too. Here shows here's that single desk. This particular student needed to just space by himself. So he had a stool and a chair option. Actually, both of them are there. They're working together. Here's just another standing options. This kiddo loved to stand.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's an example of her coming to my guided reading table. We were doing some reading together and she's standing there and we were reading a book. And then I think this one is just, they're just doing a fun activity here too, but just more options on the floor, in the couch or on the couch. Little stools too are other options also. So.
Was there a piece of furniture that you were surprised that the students enjoyed or you saw a positive response from that you just like, wow, I didn't expect that?
Yeah, truthfully, the standing tables. Not, and it's not for, I would say some kiddos do not like to stand, not at all. But then for the ones that need to and like to, it was really beneficial for them just to have that space where they're standing, but it's like their space around them. So that one surprised me. I don't have my ball chairs. I didn't show any of those. I have the ball chairs too. I don't have them blown up right now, but those surprised me because I think that's one of the pieces of seating that either works or it doesn't work. So I would say those, and then also the scoop chairs. A couple of years ago, I had a little boy and he just had so much energy, but as soon as he got in that scoop chair, and it was almost like he was getting a big hug for most of the day, his body just calmed and he would do all of his work and he would read and write. And it's almost, yeah, just that little bit of pressure maybe from like being so cozy. He just loved that.
Excellent. And do you have any other advice for teachers that are just starting out new to flexible seating?
Um, I would say just give it a try because it's, it's different, but it's really good for the kids. I think just like at the beginning of the school year when we go slow to go fast, as far as teaching rules and expectations, same thing goes with flexible seating. Don't feel overwhelmed. Just start somewhere and see where it takes you. It really introducing expectations with flexible seating goes and pairs really well with teaching your rules of your classroom too.
Thank you. Well, now the $1,000,000 question, because this is a year that's going to be unlike any other year. What are you
Mhm.
doing differently with your flexible seating now that we're all our COVID considerations?
Yeah, so right now I came in just for a few hours. My room is not done, but I was able to at least have for sure 14 spots already set, up and ready to go besides my carpet spaces. So I still have carpet, scoops, and surf chairs. And I also have everything spread out. Before we would be in groups together, having 2 to 4 students at a table. And now everybody's just kind of spaced. So I'll turn my computer around to show you a little bit. So kind of hard to see, but
Yeah, I
all
can
my
see.
tables are kind of spaced apart. There my kiddos are over there. I still have my carpet on the front, my standing desk or guided reading table area is there. And then just all the stools are at the different tables. So they'll have different options to sit at. The couches in the back, the standing tables are all there. Oops.
And how are you managing student supplies this year?
Yeah, actually, I'm not changing anything from what I've done in the past. I've always used individual zipper pouches, and then it has their name right on the front. And then that also is their way of telling me where they're sitting for the day. So because they're moving in the classroom, they leave their zipper pouch at that spot. And then that tells me where they are for that day. And then they put them back in their mailboxes. So their mailboxes are individual, and then their pouches are, so they each get to keep their own supplies together.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Absolutely brilliant.
it's super easy, and the pouches work really nice. I did pencil boxes one year and the plastic kind of breaks and stuff, but the pouches just seem to work really great. And then you don't have all those name tags that are like peeling up and you got to clean them. And yeah.
Well, excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for your time this afternoon, and I wish you the best of luck to the school year,
Same to you.
whatever it might be. Thank you so much, Erin.
You're welcome. Thank you, Lori.